Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. And it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh? So it's Halloween time, guys. Big time for us horror YouTubers. And what better way to celebrate than talking about one of the Halloween films? Yes, which is my favorite franchise in horror. I don't think that's any secret. So I want to talk about a film that I feel is kind of unfairly maligned throughout the horror community, throughout fans and critics alike, and that is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. So one major positive I want to mention is this awesome poster. I love this poster. It's probably my favorite in the franchise. Michael lives, and this time they're ready. It's awesome. Come on, guys, you have to admit it. I know Dave McCrae calls this film a fucking shit show. He cracks me up. Yeah. So people seem to hate this movie a lot, you know. It's definitely not one of the most beloved in the franchise, that's for sure. Now I will say I do feel like the film was probably rushed. You know, they rushed to get it out the following year right after Halloween 4. And by that time, Halloween 4 was coming out on video, so they were kind of competing with themselves. I know Mustafa Akkad, who was the producer of all the Halloween films, he said that himself. That they kind of rushed it, you know, that was a mistake. And yeah, it was. I feel like if they had taken their time a little more, it would have been probably one of the best films in the Halloween franchise, you know, if they had taken a little more time. But as it stands, as it is, I enjoy Halloween 5s. So yeah, first major positive you gotta go with is Donald Pleasance returning to the role of Dr. Loomis, which is always a good thing. And I feel like he has another strong, solid performance in this film. And I like the fact that he's more unhinged in this film. He's kind of reached his limit. He's reached his wit's end. He's just had it up to here with Michael Myers. And he wants to end it once and for all. And he's kind of losing his mind, you know. He even lashes out at this little girl, Jamie, you know. As played, of course, by Danielle Harris, who is a very welcome addition to the franchise, in my opinion. I really enjoyed her performance in Halloween 5 as well as Halloween 4, of course. And the fact that we couldn't get Jamie Lee Curtis to return, you know, she didn't want to have anything to do with horror anymore, so they brought in this character, Jamie Lloyd, you know. And they killed off the Laurie Strode character. They said that she died in a car crash and that we were left with Jamie Lloyd, who was her daughter, apparently. And her daughter was adopted by this nice family, you know. And Rachel, played by Leah Cornell, was her stepsister. And she kind of basically, you know, helped raise her. This young girl played by, so well by Danielle Harris, you know. And look at her now. She's a beloved figure in the horror community, you know. She was in the Hatchet film. She's done a lot of work in horror, and she's a scream queen, basically, you know. And she's obviously so well known for being in the Halloween films. She was in 4 of them. Halloween 4 and 5, and then she went on to star in the Rob Zombie versions of Halloween 1 and 2. But yeah, I really enjoy her performance, and in this film especially, she had a lot of physical work to do, a lot of stunts, you know, some really heavy physical performance, you know, especially in the scene, which I feel is one of my favorite scenes in the Halloween franchise, when she gets, when she's hiding in that laundry chute, and Michael finds her, and he grabs the butcher knife and starts hacking the shit out of it, you know, trying to get at her, you know. And she's inside trying to, you know, not get slashed by the knife, you know. It's a terrifying scene. I love it. Really intense, really suspenseful, and it's just awesome. The way it's shot, just beautiful. I love it. And you can see the anger in Michael, that way, like, he's pissed off, and you can really see that. And one of the scenes that a lot of people hate too is, the scene where Michael is unmasked, and I really like that. I like how she tried to connect with him, the fact that she's his niece, He called out to her, "Uncle," and he just kind of stops and freezes for a second, and he's like, "Let me see," She wants to see the man behind the mask, but at one point she is playing with him, trying to let his guard down, and he does for a second, And people kind of hate that a lot. They hate that he stopped for a second and showed a smidgen of emotion for a second and kind of shed a tear for a second, I thought that was interesting. That was something different, But, a lot of people hate that. Again, I don't. I thought it was something different. And like Mustafa Akkad said, once you get into like the 4th and 5th and 6th sequel, you can't remain completely mysterious. You got to give something away, And I agree with that. And that's why I like the series, As the series goes on, you learn a little bit more about the man behind the mask. Not too much, just enough to keep you interested. And I really like that. So yeah, another big thing is, Leah Cornell coming back as Rachel Carruthers. A lot of people loved her from the last film. She kind of had that Laurie Strode thing about her, the girl next door. She felt a lot like the Laurie Strode character, And a lot of people don't like the way she, ended her run on this Halloween series, It was kind of a similar situation to like Scream or the original Psycho, where they kind of kill off one of the main characters in a very short time period. But still, I felt like she had a nice little turn in this film, even though she didn't last too long, but I still thought it was respectful the way they took her out, and there was some great scenes there of Michael stalking her as well that I thought were really creepy. He's hiding in the closet, watching her, creeping up behind her, It's, there's some really good stalking scenes of Michael in this film that were really creepy, that you don't see a lot of throughout the series, You certainly don't see any of that in the newest Halloween film from 2018. Say the only other way you see that is the only other time was the original Halloween, So that was one really cool thing that I liked about Halloween 5. You got to see him kind of from his perspective, watching people, and it's creepy. I thought the director Dominique Gerard brought some of that Italian horror style to this film too, which I really enjoyed. He may not have been the most knowledgeable person about the Halloween franchise, and you could kind of see that. Like, maybe he didn't quite understand the whole lore of the franchise. And that's one thing that might have hurt the film a little bit, like, especially with the Myers house. Obviously, it looks nothing like the original from 1978. It looked like a big Victorian mansion where, it's like, come on. You think we don't know what the Myers house looks like by now? We're Halloween fans, we're we're some of the most passionate fans in horror, Of course we're going to notice things like that. So yeah, that was one thing that bothered me, for sure. And of course a lot of people can't stand Wendy Kaplan's character, Tina. They think she's so annoying. I will say she is kind of annoying at certain points, like when she first comes on the scene and we're like, who the heck is this chick, And she's acting all goofy and silly, but, she's talking to a little girl, I actually think she had some personality, as opposed to some of the other people in the movie were pretty bad, Some of the characters were just fodder for Michael to pick off, in various creative ways. There was certain characters that were just total cardboard cutouts, that had no depth to them at all. So that is one thing I will say I didn't like about the film. There were a couple of characters that were just useless, waste of film, But I thought at least Wendy Kaplan did have some personality in the films. I don't hate her, I know a lot of people do. I don't hate her. I thought she was kind of bubbly. She had some personality, So yeah, I don't mind Wendy Kaplan that much. I know a lot of people hate her though. And that's one of the big things that people hate about Halloween 5 is Tina, the Tina character. But I will say, I think also that Don Shanks was a good part of Halloween 5 because he was a solid Michael Myers, I think. Definitely one of the bigger dudes, very imposing figure. Very intimidating, his size and bulk, And I thought he played a really good Michael Myers, so. And a lot of people hate the mask in Halloween 5 too, that you kind of have the big neck, and it doesn't look like the original 1978 film, I'll be honest. But the reason for that is because they didn't have the rights to use the William Shatner mask, because originally that was William Shatner's mask from Star Trek, Captain Kirk. So they didn't have the rights to use that. They didn't want to get sued by William Shatner, so that's the reason why really the mask looks different in each film, because they didn't have the rights to use the original William Shatner mask. Another thing is creative, artists want to put their spin on what they think Michael should look like, That's another part of it. The reason why it looks different every time is, different artists want to put their creative vision into it, But if you want to talk bad masks, let's talk about Halloween 4, I think that's easily the worst mask in the Halloween franchise is Halloween 4. I mean, that just looks nothing whatsoever. Like, it's almost unrecognizable as Michael Myers. And that's one of my biggest flaws about Halloween 4. Even though I do really enjoy Halloween 4, that mask is terrible. I mean, look at the poster on Halloween 4 and then look at the mask used in the film. That's obviously the mask from the original 1978 film on the poster. As it is on this one, too, That's obviously the original mask. But of course, the mask looks nothing like that. But I felt like it was at least better than 4, Another scene I want to talk about that I love is the scene with Dr. Loomis and Michael towards the end, where he's trying to get through to him. When Michael is there standing with the knife ready to stab him, he stops for a second because Dr. Loomis tries to say, I know that you just want to stop this rage inside of you, You think if you kill them all, it'll make it all go away. And then Michael stops for a second and he ungrips his grip on the knife. And then, but once he realizes what Dr. Loomis is doing, that he's just trying to distract him, then he grips again on the knife hard and stabs him and throws him, I really enjoy that scene, and I thought Don Shanks was really good in that, Again, don't dare show any emotion. Don't show any signs that he's a human being underneath there, God forbid. I really like that, so yeah. Overall, I really enjoy Halloween 5, and I do think it's a worthy entry to the franchise. I love the performances of Donald Pleasance and Leah Cornell, as well as, of course, Danielle Harris was fantastic. I do know that the film is flawed, but I think the good outweighs the bad, much like the A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, it's a very similar situation where there's a lot of good stuff in there, you know. And there's that, like I said, that chase scene at the end when he's trying to run Jamie over in the car and that other kid, Billy. It was intense, man. There's some great kills. There's some great gore by, I believe, Greg Nicotero worked on the film. He also worked on Part 4, I believe. But I think he did even more work on Halloween 5. There's some great kills. What about that part with the sickle thing in the barn? The thing where he kills that guy Michael and like screeches his car with the claw hammer. The kid's such a freak about his car. He's always washing it and waxing it. And any time anyone goes near it, he freaks out. So to see Michael scratch the shit out of it with the claw hammer is just awesome. And then he grabs the guy by the throat and drives it right into his head. Nasty. There's some of them nastiest kills in this movie. Definitely love the gore in the film. And that's another thing, the scene in the barn where he's stalking everybody, picking them off one by one. There's some great suspense in that, you know. And that's one thing I feel is missing in Halloween 4, is it had no suspense. It wasn't scary at all. I feel like Halloween 5 is a much scarier film than Part 4. And that's one thing I like about it. Again, I feel like Halloween 4 and 5 are perfect, like, bookends for each other, much in the way that the original Halloween from 1978 and, of course, Halloween 2 from 1981, they go together like bookends, you know. It's like one story, and I feel like 4 and 5 is the same way, you know, where you got a lot of the returning cast members, you know, and you got the story continuing from Halloween 4, you know. It picks up right where the other one left off, you know. It's the continuing story. And then they continue it a little bit more with Part 6, but I feel like it goes kind of way way off the rails in Part 6, where I think 4 and 5 together, anytime I watch Part 4, right away I want to watch Part 5, and it's the same thing to me with the original. Anytime I watch the original classic from 1978, right away, I pop in Halloween 2 every single time. And I love that, you know, it's one part of the beauty about this franchise, you know. So many of them go so well together, you know. And of course you got Halloween H2O, you can put that in later on, which has its own timeline, you know. That's the thing about this franchise that kind of drives people nuts, is the alternate timelines. Right now we're in a totally different timeline. That film from 2018 only follows 1978's Halloween. So you got like 3 different timelines going on. It's crazy. But we love it. We all love it. We love the Halloween franchise. We don't care if they go on forever, but we don't care how many different timelines there are. We just love Halloween. We love the character of Michael. We love Laurie Strode. We love all the characters in all the films. Even the bad ones we love, you know. Come on. But just wanted to say a few things about why I love Halloween 5. And you guys can hate all day long, but I love it. So I just love this franchise. So thank you for watching me. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.